How goes the family? Welcome back to Patterson Properties. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. Today is going to be a quick and to the point subject matter. But before I go forward, remember Patterson Properties is all about wholesaling real estate, buying delinquent tax properties on all levels, tax sales, selling them, helping distressed property owners and all that from a wholesale perspective, hooking up with real estate investors, agents, the whole nine. So give us, contact us. All the information is in the description box, and we'll be able to go from there. Right. So I have a picture of Earth behind me, and the main reason is because today's subject matter is I'll be talking about real estate is going to be real estate in the United States of America. Now, I'm not an international world traveler, at least not yet. But one thing that I do know of, especially with a lot of people in my family, and you hear conversations around social media and just you go to different places and whatnot. Most Americans don't look at real estate. I remember even being at a real estate event back in 2000. It was 19, yeah, early 2019, before the pandemic and all that good stuff. One gentleman there was talking to me about real estate in Puerto Rico. Now, this was obviously after the unfortunate hurricane that toppled Puerto Rico and whatnot. But he was talking about the fact that real estate was basically being given away in Puerto Rico, even though Puerto Rico is a territory of the United States of America. It sparked my attention in regards to, well, oh, because a lot in between that and me having former colleagues and bosses that told me about how they were going to retire in foreign countries and things of that nature. A lot of times Americans don't look at real estate from a foreign perspective because, but a lot of people who immigrate to the United States of America think about owning real estate in America, making the money in America, and buying real estate not only in the United States but buying real estate back in their home country. Whether one's from El Salvador, Mexico, one is from um, they're from Ghana, Nigeria, they're from South Africa, Pakistan, India. I could go on and on. The idea of owning real estate in your home country and even being a renter in the United States of America, that's been going on for a long time. That's not a brand new thing. Like, especially a lot of people, because I got family in the Connecticut, New York area, Jersey area. So a lot of people, because New York City is a melting pot, just like most major cities are nowadays. But so hearing conversations of a gentleman saying, "Yeah, I just bought all this property back in Jamaica, back in Haiti, back in Dominican Republic, back in Cuba, you know what I mean, or wherever they're from, back in Mexico, back in India, et cetera, and so forth." But I'm a generational renter in the city of New York City, because they actually like living in New York. They're like the kind of like certain people are bi-coastal, or certain people are actually bi-country in a sense. They it's normal for them to spend a certain amount of time in 2 to 3 different countries throughout the whole year and whatnot. This is very normal for a lot of people. I bring this up from a real estate perspective because of one specific reason, because the remote working is going to be very normal. So it's going to be normal for a lot of Americans living and even Europeans too, um, or quote unquote Westerners as they call us, living in quote unquote third world countries and whatnot. Because if they can be, whether they're a finance person, they're an IT person, or an engineer, they're a big corporate person, but they can work their job from anywhere. Because a lot of times, especially in the private sector, there aren't as many limits placed on people to have to live in a specific location as long as the job's getting done from that time frame. So it's normal for people that they say, well, hey, I want to live in the Philippines, but my job is in Texas. It's 10 times cheaper to live in the Philippines compared to living in Texas. So, but you have to work these specific hours. So that means you may be working nights. Just like you have a lot of people that are call center workers that they might be in the Philippines, or they might be in China, or they might be in India, or wherever, Um, Heck, I remember dealing with an IT support person for my cable that I used to have, and this person was in Canada. So it's over the phone and whatnot. But anyways, the moral of the story is, with IT infrastructures being built even more so, and remote working growing, just because the U.S. economy is opening up doesn't mean that the biggest competitor is going to be the corporation that's going to save money by not having so much office space. One, so they're not paying for commercial space as much commercial spaces. Then two, A lot of people saying, well, hey, and then it's a different tax structure you're on when you live, when you're an American citizen, you live in a foreign country. I'm not going to get into that. That's individual basis. So consult the financial professional. Do not say that Larry said X, Y, Z. No, do your homework. But anyways, the moral of the story is there are a multitude of countries that Americans have been buying real estate abroad for a long time before the pandemic. And because of the pandemic, I believe that this is going to intensify even more so. And I guarantee I'll be talking about articles later that are going in way more detail and way more in depth in regards to the people living in third world countries, because it's 10 times cheaper than even living in Alabama, Mississippi, North Dakota, South Dakota, Michigan, Pennsylvania. They don't have to, they for the cost of living is 10 times cheaper. One, two, they might even have their own servants, quote unquote, or staff that work for them while they're there. And more, not only just working people, but more and more people are building businesses online and becoming more self-employed. And when the businesses grow to a point where they need additional staff members, that for the last decade, and I'm going to say from 2010 till now, having virtual assistants where they could be working from Nigeria, the Philippines, Central and South America, but having virtual assistants has become the new norm for a lot of growing companies. And these people live in other countries, so the salary isn't as big. And a lot of times, and I even found this out recently, that a lot of people from Australia or parts of Europe and even America, they retire in Central and South America, and they actually are virtual assistants online part-time. So it's just for them to have a little extra money because they're retired and they just want to make a little extra money online at their own leisure, have their own contracts and go from there. In a sense that they're self-employed, but they're working for somebody, in a sense, but it's just from a contract basis. So this is going to be a continuous thing. And the reason why I see it intensifying, one, not just because of cost of living, but then I wonder how it's actually going to affect the U.S. economy with so many people actually leaving the United States of America. Not saying nothing bad about the U.S. or any other country. America's a great country. I think that every country has its own little spark to it. But what I'm saying is, if this intensifies with people wanting to leave the United States I'm talking from an economic perspective, not I hate the country perspective. If they want to leave the U.S. and they say they feel like they have more incentives to live in Mexico, live in Nigeria, wherever, live where you want to live at. That's how I look at it. But so they have that. So how's that going to affect the real estate market in the United States of America? Will demand go down? Will prices go down? These are questions that I don't have the answers to because it's all hypothetical at this point. But I find that to be very interesting because I saw this shift happening before the pandemic, especially, and people could Google this. If you listen to a multitude of YouTubers like I have, a lot of the ones that are become self-employed, sometimes they say, well, hey, I want to live in another country because it's 10 times cheaper. And I built relationships in these other countries, not because I hate the US, but I remember the gentleman from Engineering Truth, he built relationships in Southeast Asia, and he lives a different lifestyle to where he's self-employed. And he can go to a bar and a restaurant and not have to worry about going to work the next day because the way that he makes his money is different. He even opened up a shoe factory and whatnot. So it's not new. I just think it's intensified because of technology, because of the pandemic. All right. So I'm going to go over a variety of countries that Americans have been buying properties abroad, and it's nothing new, especially people who retire, and go from there. So country number one, Mexico. There's a lot of Americans that actually live and immigrate to the United States of America. People don't realize that, especially after retirement. Like I said, the big thing is like it's sometimes cheaper to live in Mexico from a retirement standpoint than it is to live anywhere in the United States of America. That's just what it is. It's all about numbers. It ain't about loyal hating one's country and whatnot. It's just about numbers. Heck, I remember having a contractor. He came to the United States, worked a lot of contracting jobs, lived way below his means. And I found out he actually went back to his old country, his home country, because I lost touch with him. But I found out he went back to his home country in Mexico and whatnot because he started his own construction business there. He took the money he earned in the U.S. and moved back to Mexico. Nothing wrong with that. People do that all the time. But yeah, so number two country, Costa Rica. A lot of Americans purchase holiday homes in this country, often for the prospect of living there after retirement. So a great example, a lot of people have a vacation home. I remember one gentleman I used to work with years ago. He his vacation home that him and his wife had was in New Hampshire. And when he retired from his job, he's like, well, that's where we're going to live, in our vacation home. So people do that in the United States. People do that abroad. Nothing wrong with that at all. Country number 3, Canada, which I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised because Americans, you know, I mean, obviously the countries, Canada and Mexico is right next door to the United States. Those are countries that border us. So people driving back and forth between Canada and Mexico is nothing new. It's very normal. And the fact that Canada is even on this list, even though a lot of parts of Canada are 10 times more expensive than even, living in the US. It's like at the Los Angeles standard and New York City's cost of living standard. But a lot of people, I remember a gentleman my uncle worked with. He wanted to retire in Canada. He actually worked 2 full-time jobs the last 2 years before he officially retired from his job because he wanted to live in Canada. He liked it. He actually grew up in upstate New York, so it was normal for him and his family to drive back and forth between Canada and whatnot. They had friends there, and he had friends that he'd known since he was a child, and he always wanted to live there. So I'm like, hey, that's what you want, then that's cool. Number 4, the Philippines. I mentioned that earlier. Lower cost of livings, properties available at reasonable prices. And, English is the number 1 language across the world. So, and English has become more and more fluent with a lot of Filipinos, as the article states. So, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. This country surprised me, though, the United Kingdom, not because I have anything against the United Kingdom, but, parts of the UK are just as expensive as the US. So a lot of times it's not even just about affordability. It's about your preference and what you want. You know what I mean? And a lot of people, Americans have been going to the UK forever, so, and vice versa. So I don't see, so buying real estate in the United Kingdom, hey, I think it's a little bit more expensive, but especially their tax level is a lot higher than the United States. But my mindset is you live where you want to live, and that's what it is. Spain, I hear Spain's a very beautiful country. That's number 6 on the menu. So it doesn't surprise me. Parts of Europe, France, a lot of Americans buy property in France, Italy, and once again, especially with these countries, Americans have been visiting there quite often, having relationships with people over there quite often. And I just think with the internet, social media boom, it's easier for people that want to have relationships with people in other countries. Well, you could be going down a slippery slope depending on who you're trying to talk to, but it's not abnormal. Let's put it like that. Number 9, Panama. Doesn't surprise me, because the United States and Panama, ever since the Noriega thing, they've always had a big relationship, so it wouldn't surprise me at all. Um, what else we got? So number 10, the Bahamas, wouldn't surprise me. As a matter of fact, it's an English speaking country anyways. So, and I know a lot of celebrities own properties in the Bahamas, and it's an income tax free country too. So that's another way to look at it. American buyers purchase properties there both as investment and for personal use. So I think that's pretty cool. Germany wouldn't surprise me. Americans been going, especially my military Americans, people have been going to, back and forth to Germany for a long time. A lot of people just love Germany. They like the real estate market there. It attracts a lot of American investors. So Brazil wouldn't surprise me, especially if people love, the tropical lifestyle and whatnot. They say parts of Brazil is very gorgeous and whatnot. And there's actually within the last couple of years, there's been a 40% drop in the value of Brazilian real estate against the dollar, making property affordable for Americans. So, something to look into. The world's international. That's why I said it's people will try to get online and try to get into a debate for no reason. The world's been international, and I just think the pandemic has intensified that matter even more so, even though things were shut down. But I think like people are trying to travel more so now because, so many countries were closed and whatnot. So China doesn't surprise me, especially given the fact that there's so many American factories in China. So many Americans do business in China. Whatever your thoughts about the country, I mean, it is what it is. And Americans have been doing a lot of business there for decades now. So, and it's just going to continuously intensify. But buying a residence in China for self-use, it's become a new norm for a lot of people, especially in Shanghai area. And it just makes sense because you have so many American corporations actually within China. So it makes sense for people to want to buy a lot of properties there. Number 14, Belize, another Central American country. Obviously, because it's English speaking country, it used to be a British colony. It's still, it's part of Central America. It's an attractive destination for a lot of retirees, and for people that just want a second home, for income producing rental properties too. It's a great rental property market. So this is, like I said, it's interesting. Colombia, number 15. Low prices are great. The weather's great year round. I mean, obviously, like any other country, it has its ups and downs. But a lot of foreigners are attracted to living there. They just, even an article that says you just got to get past the whole, unfortunately, the revolutionaries and the drug lord issues that happen there. And I think the country's closed now, but I don't keep up on these things, so I'm not even going to try to act like I'm a expert on these matters and whatnot. But Cartagena and Bogota and Medellin, those are the places that people are buying real estate property there. Never been, so I can't speak on it. But those are the specific areas. Um, I find it interesting. And actually, the parts of Belize, if you want to check out, San Ignacio and the rest of Cayo and Placencia, those are the areas in Belize you want to check out. And when it comes to China, you check out Shanghai, Beijing, Shenzhen, and Chengdu. Those are the specific areas. And when it comes to Brazil, Sao Paulo and Natal and Fortaleza, that's what you want to check out. And when it comes to Germany, you want to check out Berlin, Frankfurt, and Munich. I said, you know what? I didn't even give out the specific areas. Nassau in the Bahamas and Freeport in the Bahamas. And in Panama, the best place they say is in Panama City. All right. When it comes to Italy, you want to check out Venice, Rome, Tuscany, Costa, Semirella, Relda, and Lake Como. And when it boils down to France, of course, Paris, Côte d'Azur, the French Riviera, those are the specific areas. And when it comes to Spain, you want to check out Madrid, Barcelona, and Balearic Islands, especially Ibiza and Palma de Mara, Mallorca. Yeah, make sure I'm pronouncing this stuff right. I can butcher a language. And the number one place they say in the UK is London, which I know London is like the most expensive city in the world. So, but they say there's a stable economy and real estate market. It makes it attractive for buyers seeking properties as an investment. So, like I said, you check it out yourself. In the Philippines, Manila, Makati, and Cebu. Those are the areas if you're looking at purchasing properties. In Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Whistler. I always wanted to go to Toronto, and I still need to get there one day. Um, but they say Toronto is like New York City, except it's just cleaner. So, especially as far as cost of living goes. In Costa Rica, you want to check out Herradura Beach and Dominical and Uvita and Tamarindo Beach on the Papagayo Peninsula and Escazú and Santa Ana, which are the suburbs of the capital of San Jose when it boils down to Costa Rica. And when it boils down to the first one in Mexico, you want to check out uh, Tulum, Cancun, Playa del Carmen, then Cabo San Lucas, Acapulco, and La Paz. Those are the places you want to check out in Mexico and whatnot. And getting down to the last but definitely not least, good old Jamaica. All right. And obviously you want to go to, when it comes to Jamaica, there's two specific places you want if you're looking to purchase real estate is Montego Bay and Kingston. All right. They have some of the best beaches, dolphin and whale watching, scuba diving, snorkeling, all that good stuff. Nightlife, English speaking nation. It's attracting a lot of second homeowners and retirees to the luxury market. So that's what it boils down to that. And it's like I said, I think every part of the world has something special to offer. And I can't forget my African brethren. So Lagos, Nigeria is number one. There's no surprise to this. Nigeria is a very rich country, for whether good or bad. It's a very rich country, and it's the sixth. Lagos is actually the sixth fastest growing economy on the African continent right now. The sixth fastest growing one, and it's just got an ever growing population, constant demand for high quality, low to medium prices, residential and commercial units and whatnot. So a lot of people have been, even before the pandemic, they're building in Africa from a multitude of standard levels, people from all over the world. And, hey, my hat goes off to everybody that's doing great things over there. Number two is Accra, Ghana. Actually has a population of over 4 million people as far as the city of Accra, and is growing. Ghana is one of the most politically stable countries within Africa, and has managed to maintain good relations with its neighbors to attracting basically expatriates and foreign direct investment into the country. And Accra is experiencing a huge shortage of affordable housing and commercial units. And these pressures are ever growing within the real estate sector because foreign property ownership is not only permitted, but is highly desirable by the state. Thus, it's the perfect time to invest there. I'm just reading from the article. So I think that's a great thing. I think this is, even if you, as a real estate investor, and the real reason why I made this video is because one of my favorite YouTubers, Minority Mindset, he stated, he's thinking about, he's a big time real estate investor in the Midwest, and he's talking about he's of Indian descent. He's from India. His parents are from India and whatnot, and I believe he's a Sikh. Yeah. So, anyways, he's thinking about buying property in foreign countries. So I said to myself, well, how many Americans really do buy properties in foreign countries? It's an interesting thing, and like I said, I just think with the remote working world, you're going with and the influx of people that are becoming self-employed from an online perspective, you're going to have a lot more people wanting to live in other countries, build in other countries, and build relationships in other countries, because more and more people, especially the smarter people, they're building those, they're really making those investments, not from just from a real estate perspective, but they're making those investments from a people perspective, and they're getting to know more people, and they're intensifying their, I like to call people currency. And I'll just go from there. Number three is Kigali, Rwanda. Rwanda's economy, I've actually seen so many videos and beautiful pictures. Looks like a very beautiful place. The economy has been on a boom for the last decade. Thus, it is no surprise that the real estate industry in its capital, Kigali, is growing at an exceptional rate. 20 years after the unfortunate genocide, Rwanda is becoming an East African success story, and I love to hear that. Number four, Nairobi, Kenya. Bringing it home to Nairobi, which is, it's actually, obviously it's the capital of Kenya. In the recent years, Nairobi has been recognized as the top 3 fastest growing economies in the world. So that is, I say, to be number 3, I think that is awesome. Nairobi is home to many African headquarters like the United Nations, Google, IBM, and Coca-Cola. Did not know that. And the demand for rental units and to support a growing population has been on the rise. So, hey, just something to think about. Number 5, last but not least, Luanda, Luanda, Angola. Make sure I pronounce that right. Africa's 5th largest economy and 5th on the list, and is Luanda, the capital city in Angola. The growing demand of both residential and commercial units in Luanda have not been met despite government efforts to construct new properties across the capital. Prices of office space per square meter are reportedly one of the highest in the world, at a jaw-dropping $150 per month, in regards to the sections, in regards to the actual office space in itself. And investing in Luanda, Angola guarantees you high return on investment, the article says. So just wanted to go over that. I think this is pretty cool because I just see it intensifying with the world going more remote. And obviously, if you get through this pandemic and, within a year, and things are just fully open all over the world again, you just never know how things are going to go. But if that is the case, I see more people not taking travel for granted, because even if you try to travel right now, you're going to pay 10 times more. But people not taking travel for granted, people not taking the building great relationships for granted. And from a real estate perspective, hey, being able to own homes in multiple countries from a return on investment standpoint, or just a second home standpoint, that's something to think about, So go from there, all right? Do the great 3 free things, family. Like, share, and subscribe. And as I always say on my other channel, make money moves, or you're going to live broke like a fool. Take care.